we see that current situation has stimulated a lot of people to change. It stimulated a lot of governments to change and to finally take some decisions and actually make some changes that everyone was waiting for a long time. Let me provide you some couple examples about the changes that we expect in Ukraine and changes that might become an opportunities for private sector, for private investors, Ukrainian investors, Turkish investors, European investors, American investors, actually private sector all around the world. The difficulty number one that Ukraine has faced was blockade of Odessa port and actually all the Black Sea port of Ukraine. It complicated the logistics, but we see that these things should be addressed, and that's why Ukraine is initiating a building of so-called dry ports, and it might become a very interesting opportunity for Turkish and European construction companies, logistic companies, who have some experience in shipment and stuff like that. So dry ports that we plan to build on the western border of Ukraine, you're welcome to participate in that investment projects. You're welcome to start negotiations, and I'm here also to be this bridge between foreign investors, Ukrainian investors, and Ukrainian government. The second challenge that Ukraine have changed, but also it provides a lot of opportunities for private sector, is agriculture export. With Black Sea ports being blocked, we have challenges to actually export all the agriculture that we have stocked in Ukraine, especially now when the new harvest is coming. Before the Russian invasion, 42% of Ukrainian export was agriculture product, mainly raw products like wheat, corn, but also some added value products like sunflower oil. Now we see that we have challenges in logistics, so we can't export that much of the agriculture and food. So we are initiating a great reform, so-called great agriculture processing. We will start a number of projects, and I wonder if we can see some of them, or we will see them a little bit later. Some projects that foresees agriculture processing. We have difficulties in exporting, for example, 100 million or 20 million tons of wheat, but we can definitely export, for example, 5 million tons of meat. And this is, again, a welcome for foreign investors, but also Ukrainian investors to come to Ukraine and start joint investment projects in agriculture processing. We don't see examples, but I hope that those who are interested will be able to discuss it with Ukrainian representatives later on. Yeah. And the third challenge, as an example, that Ukraine faces is renation of some infrastructure, but it creates an opportunity for private-public partnership in reconstruction of infrastructure, but also in building a number of, for example, healthcare facility. Ukraine will have this great demand for new healthcare facility, for centers that will provide prosthetics, rehabilitation, and stuff like that. And in my opinion, this is once again is a great opportunity for private investors, both from Ukraine but also abroad, to come to Ukraine and invest, but also make some profit. So to sum up, these are just a couple examples, but there are more opportunities, and I hope these 2 days will be an opportunity for both of us, for Ukraine, for Turkey, for other representatives, to talk together, to enrich our experience and enrich our activities. And with that, I want to thank you for your attention, and I want to thank all organizers and co-organizers who made this event possible, who made tremendous work, who invited all of you, and let's have a great event, and let's have a great discussion which will give a birth to a number of new investment projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Alina Yanchenko. We will be also hosting her as a moderator in the next session. And I want to invite Honorable Joanna Marovic, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of European Affairs of Montenegro. Please, the stage is yours.
So good morning, everyone. It's my great pleasure to be here today with you. It's also my great pleasure to greet you on behalf of the government of Montenegro and the Western Balkans in general, since we are all trying to build democracy in the Western Balkans. We are all trying to strengthen our economies, and now this is a new reality for all of us, for Europe, for the world, having the war in Ukraine and having this new situation which is influencing our lives at many levels, and especially Ukraine and the Ukrainians. So the first thing about the new situation and new reality is how we all act in accordance with the new reality. The first thing is solidarity, since Montenegro is in the European integration process and we are the most advanced country in the European integration process. One of the obligations in that process is to harmonize the foreign policy and security with the EU foreign policy and security. And one of the tasks in that direction are the sanctions against Russia. This is something which is, as I said, part of our European path, but is also moral duty. It is also one of the, let's say, a logic thing, what to do when one country is attacking another and where there is aggression against sovereignty of one country. So this is the first thing which brings to the core and to, let's say, in front of all of us European values, which are in the core of the European Union and which the European Union stands for. So the solidarity is also one of the first things when it comes to Ukraine and situation in Ukraine and a number of refugees, because the recent data is that there is more than 5.8 million refugees from Ukraine across Europe, and the second thing that there is more than 7.1 million displaced persons in Ukraine. Montenegro is helping and providing assistance to Ukraine, and this is really the most important thing to show solidarity when it comes to the new situation in Europe. The second thing is how the war in Ukraine is influencing economy in the Western Balkans, in Europe, and generally in the world. So as a small country, Montenegro is really highly dependent on foreign direct investments and also on tourism, and this situation is also influencing Montenegro and the Western Balkans. So the new economic situation is something which we have to deal with. Having this in mind, I think that this forum is great chance to discuss new opportunities, to building networks and to see what are the new possibilities for investments, both in the Western Balkans and Europe in general. So one of the possible framework, of course, is the European Investment Plan, and we will discuss this during the first panel. There are many chances to all of us to first of all, to help Ukraine, to not just now when the war is there, but also after the war to reconnect, to reconstruct, and also to build new networks and new chances for investment. The second thing, as I said, is tourism, because Montenegro is a country which had actually most tourists from Russia, and this situation is also influencing situation and economy in Montenegro. But it was really clear to us that if we want to build democracy, rule of law, and human rights, if we would like to help solidarity with Ukraine, we have to really act in accordance with that. So, as I said, Montenegro introduced 6 packages of sanctions against Russia, and this is something which is really important for all of us to show solidarity and to show how we should act in accordance with the human rights and standards, European values. And the second thing about this new reality and new situation is how the European Union is dealing with Ukraine, with candidate countries and with countries which are really want to be part of the European family. This is a situation both with Montenegro and Ukraine, and I think that we really have to work together, that we have to share experience, we have to deal in proper way with authoritarian regimes and with all of the let's say, countries which are trying to input and to put, let's say, malign influences in the countries which are building democracies. I think that the final thing about the whole this situation, as I said, is that we have to deal and to build networks together and to work together in order to be more resilient with these malign influences and all negative influences from non-Western countries. So this is for the beginning, just to show and to present some framework where Montenegro is and what Montenegro is standing for. Since I'm also panelist during the first panel, I think that I can provide more details about all of these issues during the panel. So thank you very much, and again, it's my great pleasure to be here today.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jovana Marovic, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of European Affairs of Montenegro. And I think now we are good with Zoom, so I will be connecting yourselves to Deputy Minister of Economy of Ukraine, Trade Representative of Ukraine, Honorable Taras Kachka. Welcome.
Good morning, colleagues. I hope you hear and see me well. So greetings from Kiev. I think that thank you everyone who gathered to this event. This is one of most important elements of our policy today to ensure that business operates as much as possible to the issue of business as usual, while the situation in Ukraine is absolutely opposite to the business as usual. But I would like to start with really appraisal of what business has done during the massive aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine. So that despite all aggressions, despite all the massive destruction, Ukrainian business operates, and every element of Ukrainian economic engine operates. And that's why we, as a government, are talking about early recovery and support for the early recovery. So this is a message and a request which is based on the energy of Ukrainian business. Therefore, we believe that the entrepreneurship spirit of Ukrainian business, the tendency to operate and to develop despite all the developments should be used for development new partnership, stronger relations with outer world. I see from my portfolio that despite the blockade of Ukrainian seaports, Ukrainian companies are doing their best in finding new opportunities, new routes for exporting goods and importing goods as well. So that's why our trade is bouncing back from the shock of March, and it grows slowly but steadily grow in starting from May already. That's why I think that this is a good example that business-to-business relations is something that we need to invest, we need to promote. That's why I really appreciate that there is such a good business-to-business gathering organized with participation of Ukrainian business organizations and Ukrainian business. So I hope that I will be able to talk in greater details about what is happening in Ukraine and what are our priorities. But first of all, I think that my clear message is that we need to develop a business even in times of war. So Black Sea region and Balkan region witnessed a lot of wars. I don't think that this is a rather trivial development. So this is one of most aggressive war in the history of Black Sea, and Russia, unfortunately, is spoiling the peaceful atmosphere in Black Sea region for many, many years in advance. Even after their defeat, the Black Sea will be so that there will be a flavor of war in Black Sea trade. So that's why I think that Russia done a lot of damage to the businesses of all states in the regions, and this is unfortunate news for everyone, for you. But together we will overcome this with our energy and our spirit, and we will show to the world that trade and business can repair any damage sooner than expected by our enemy. So thank you for your work. We really appreciate your work, and we want to do everything that will help to operate business smoothly, even in these difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Taras Kachka, and we will be shortly again with you in the panel. So I want to hand over the stage to President of Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Gennady Chizikov. Welcome.
Your Excellency, dear guests, dear friends, I see in this lovely hall a lot of my friends who did, doing, and will continue to do business in Ukraine. This is very important. Today we have a very good opportunity to speak with you about the impact to Ukraine, impact to the Europe, Turkey, to the Montenegro, all the world. Because we see the new situation that remind me of a story when, if you know, the war is, if war is coming to your house, it's not possible out of this war. It's need to stay strong and to be a strong fire in this situation. Just what is the war? I'm the president of Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce. I was born in Donetsk region, and during these 8 years, because for Ukrainian, war started not on 24 February this year, started on 2014. And during these 8 years, I lost house and business in Donetsk. In the beginning of March, I lost the house under the very close to the Kiev. And very bad news for me, just 2 weeks ago, my mother in the Donetsk region lost their house in the Donetsk region. This house was destroyed, bombed by Russian army. For me, for my family, this is a war. But for thousands of Ukrainians, it's a similar. That's why we are strong. We are thinking about how to protect our country, but also we are here just to join our efforts how to support Ukraine, how to support peace in the world, all the world. And business can say their word, and this word should be very important. We speak not only about the military front. We would like to speak with you about the economical front, how to protect aggression, how to protect the world where there are a lot of difficulties, things due to this situation. Thank you very much for all participants. Thank you very much for organizer of this event, because it's very important to take to be brave in this situation, to organize such type of event for Ukrainian business, for Turkish business, and business from all the world. For us Ukrainians, every day is fight not only for our freedom and independence. It is a fight for safe Europe, peace, stable and protected nations, strong and developing world economics. It is important to understand that the war itself is not local. It is a war against human rights, rule of law, and democracy of all the world. Why this forum is important for us? My colleagues and previous speakers said about this. First of all, today we are able to share a perspective and insights of maintaining existing, and I very hope they're building new trade and investment relations. Secondly, we can develop together a smart solution to supply chain disruptions. We are here to find opportunities for redevelopment and reconstruction of the industries which has been destroyed. So that's the most important question for us today is a post-war reconstruction and investment perspectives. I know this is one of the most interesting questions, and we are very glad to discuss in the panels and also in the B2B meetings what will happen today and tomorrow. We need to resolve logistic challenges. Once this goal is achieved, the entrepreneurship activities will help Ukrainian economy to recover. Last but not least, we clearly understand the role of the regional cooperation between countries, which will influence on supply chain shortages. Dear friends, dear colleagues, for me, like a president of Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, I strongly understand my responsibility to support business, especially today, help them to find a new perspective in their business activities. And what also, I would like to say a couple of words. Ukrainian business feeling their responsibilities for their country. From the first day, we support support refugees, support business. And now I see in this hall a lot of Ukrainians business who here just to share with you some ideas how to develop business, what we can do together, etc., etc. And I'd like also to say what Ukrainian Business Association unite now just against the Russian invasion and against the troubles what's happened now. We create a coalition of business association, like one voice of business to attract attention to the needs what's happened in Ukraine, and more important for the future reconstruction and most important modernization of Ukraine. And from our point of view, people who are here in this hall, Turkish business, people who see us on their YouTube channels also can join us, because an example of the Turkish businesses in the last years demonstrated how it's possible. Everything is possible if we understand one another, if we will feel better one another. Thank you very much for your coming, and I'm sure that we have a lot to discuss, many agreements to achieve, and we are on the right strategic plan path. I wish all participants today of forum a productive and effective work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gennady Chizikol. And right now I want to call to the stage the Turkish-Ukrainian Business Association President, Mr. Burak Behlivan, please. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much, President Chishkov, for your emotional and true speech. Your Excellencies, dear ministers, dear presidents of business associations and chambers, distinguished guests, welcome to Global Economic Impact Forum on Ukraine. During this forum for 2 days, in 11 different panels, more than 70 speakers and experts, we discussed the current economic situation in Ukraine, the economic effects of the Russian war in Ukraine, in our region, and globally. The speakers will discuss, together with the participants, the logistic challenges, the supply chain interruptions, and of course, rebuilding and reconstruction of Ukraine. I thank you, everybody, every stakeholders, which contributed to organize that event. And I thank you, every contributors who contributed, all decision makers who chose for this event. Istanbul, Turkey. It is the largest business event after the war in Ukraine. And maybe one of the largest, probably, business events which is organized about Ukraine abroad. And I can say it is not a coincidence. This shows isn't a coincidence. It's a result of many facts. Before Russia launched its war, its unprovoked and unjustified war in Ukraine, 24th of February, Turkey had become, over the recent 5 years, the largest foreign investor in the country. More than 700 Turkish companies with total investments, more than $4.5 billion. They not only make businesses in Kiev and in western part of the country, almost every regions. And cumulatively, Turkey was one of the top 3 investor countries in Ukraine. Turkish-Ukrainian foreign trade reached $7.5 billion in 2021, with increasing 55% comparing 2020. And in 2022, in January, there was again a jump of by 56% foreign trade between two countries. We had expected before the war, first time in history, exceeds $10 billion mutual foreign trade in a year. Turkish construction companies have been realized more than 200 projects in the country, including the opening gate of Kiev to the world, Boryspil International Airport, the most modern stadium of the country, 100,000 square meters residential areas, industrial facilities, shopping centers, 5-star hotels, thousands of kilometers roads and bridges. So I always say that when you came to Boryspil Airport with plane, it was constructed by a Turkish company. The roads to do a 5-star of the country, even some bridge on the Dnieper, constructed by Turkish company. So you reached the hotel when was constructed by a Turkish company. So all the process you could feel a contribution of Ukrainian infrastructure by Turkish companies. Still, more than 15,000 people employed in Turkish companies. Before the war, it was more than 30,000. So still, under that harsh conditions, more than 15,000 employees are employed in Turkish companies. And no need to say that President Zelensky, after its election as the president of Ukraine, he visited Turkey more than any other countries. The two countries are real strategic partners. And we have real business relations, economic relations with our Ukrainian counterparts. So I am sure that that forum will open new ways to cooperate more between Turkish, Ukrainian, and other businesses from other countries, and we can discuss the new reality, new conditions to contribute rebuilding and reconstruction of Ukraine. Thank you very much again for participation in this event, and I wish you good luck to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burak Pehlivan. And lastly, for the opening speeches, I want to invite Mr. Alfred Prowse to stage, please. Hello, Mr. Prowse, from International Council of Business Associations and Chambers in Ukraine. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to be here, and I'm really happy to see so many important people. I would like to convey the greetings of the International Council of Business Associations and Chambers in Ukraine, which is a co-organizer. ICPAC, you see it on the banner. The ICPAC is a council which unites 9 bilateral chambers and business associations, like the Turkish, my friend Burak Beklivan, like the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, Gennady Chizhikov, and the bilateral organizations with France, with Great Britain, with Germany, with Sweden, with Austria. I'm also president of the Ukrainian-Austrian Association, and the US-Ukrainian Business Council, the Canada-Ukraine Chamber, and Turkey I have already mentioned. If you take all the members of this ICPAC International Council together, I would say the companies represented by ICPAC, they constitute certainly 90 or maybe 95% of all foreign direct investment in Ukraine. And this is the reason why we are playing quite a role in this very important event, because we want to move forward and we want to contribute to the rebuilding of Ukraine, and that means 95% of all investors, foreign investors in Ukraine, together with the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to help, to assist, to contribute to the rebuilding of Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alfred Kraus. And now will be the time for the next panel coming up. Understanding the new global economic reality will be the subject of our next session. But before that, we have a 5-minute break at 10 a.m. In 10 minutes, we will be shortly with you with our valuable speakers, and we're waiting for you.